Okay, so you sent over this piece called "The Paradox of Strong Women: Thriving Alone, Longing for Partnership," and wow,
Yeah,
really thought-provoking stuff.
it is.
It seems like something that we see kind of happening all around us these days, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Really, even in our own lives or in the lives of people that we know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to.
So for this deep dive, we're going to explore this paradox thing.
Right.
Like why is this a thing?
Yeah.
Why is it that we have all these women who are incredibly strong and independent and capable, and yet there's this desire for romantic connection that doesn't seem to go away, you know?
It's a really interesting tension
It
about it.
totally. And I think it'd be really cool to like kind of pull out some insights that are relevant to you guys listening out there, whether you're navigating this yourself or just kind of curious about how this whole dynamic works in relationships today. So we'll be looking at the ideas from that pasted text you sent.
Awesome.
And I think like the first thing that really jumped out at me was just how the piece really celebrates the strengths of these women.
Yeah.
It starts by painting this picture of someone who's like super admired in our society, right? Like they've got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the things that stood out to you in that initial portrait?
Well, I think the thing that really grabbed me was how the piece highlights all the different roles these women often find themselves in.
Yeah.
It's like they're the planners, the problem solvers, the decision makers in so many aspects of their life.
Right.
They're the ones everyone leans on for emotional support too.
Absolutely.
And there's this sense that society really values that independence and success.
Yeah.
It's like those are the badges of honor we're all striving for in a way.
It's like those gold stars we're all reaching for.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, be independent, be successful.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah.
But then
But then it's like, wait a minute.
the article kind of takes this sharp turn.
It does. It
But
does.
it's like, okay, so if you're so strong and independent, why would you even want a partner?
Right.
It seems counterintuitive almost.
Right.
And that's where the whole paradox comes into play.
That's where it gets really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like the text is saying that the very things that make these women thrive on their own,
Mm-hmm.
like being logical and self-sufficient and leading the way and being able to kind of keep their cool, like all that, those are great qualities. But it's like, oh, but those same things can actually become kind of roadblocks when it comes to romantic relationships.
It's true. The very traits that make them successful in one area of life can actually create challenges in another.
Totally. And it's almost like it's not even that they don't want a partner.
Right.
It's that they've kind of gotten so good at doing everything themselves that it's hard to let someone in.
That's a really good point. The text actually says, for many strong, independent women, the very traits that sustain them, logic, self-sufficiency, leadership, emotional regulation, become obstacles in romantic relationships.
It's like a catch-22.
It is.
And then the whole idea of strength meeting fatigue.
Yeah.
Like just imagine, you're killing it at work all day long. You're making decisions, you're solving problems, you're supporting your team.
Yeah.
You get home and it's like, okay, now I have to like, switch gears and put on my dating hat and and like, be flirty and vulnerable and deal with all the uncertainty that comes with that.
Right. You've been on all day.
I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
Right. And the text really emphasizes that it's not necessarily a lack of desire for connection, but it's almost like an energy depletion.
Totally.
Like you just don't have the bandwidth for it after everything else.
Exactly.
It's like you've been running a marathon all day and then someone asks you to go for a sprint.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of just being on all the time. And then when it comes to romance, it's just like, ugh, I don't have the energy for this.
Exactly.
And the piece also touches on how like the rules of dating might not actually like favor those strengths either.
That's an interesting point.
Like being a leader at work is great.
Absolutely.
But that same leadership style might not be, super attractive on a date.
Right. Like that assertiveness that helps you climb the corporate ladder could be perceived as bossy or controlling in a romantic context.
Totally. And then there's that whole double bind of independence thing.
Oh, yeah.
That really hit home for me. It's like you're constantly being told, be independent, be successful, achieve your goals.
Right.
But then it's also like, don't be too independent.
Right. Don't outshine your partner.
Yeah, and don't be too successful.
Be agreeable. Be feminine.
Be soft.
Yeah. It's this constant tightrope walk.
It's like you can't win.
And it's frustrating because women are encouraged to build these amazing self-sufficient lives, and then they're penalized for it in the dating world.
It's like society sets them up for this.
It really does.
And then it's like, oh, but wait, you're too much now.
Right. And I think for some potential partners, a woman who doesn't need them in that traditional sense can be intimidating.
Intimidating, or even like a threat to their ego.
Yeah. You know, it challenges those traditional gender roles that some people are still really attached to.
Absolutely. And the piece breaks down how those insecurities can actually like show up in a relationship, like that decisiveness, which is so valuable in so many areas of life,
Right.
can suddenly become like, oh, she's too dominant.
Right. Or she's too bossy.
Or bossy. And then setting boundaries, which is, crucial for anyone's well-being.
Absolutely. Essential.
Suddenly becomes, oh, she's cold or she's distant.
Or she's playing hard to get.
Yeah, or she's playing games. And then professional success, which is something to be proud
Of course.
can be seen as intimidating or even emasculating.
It's crazy how those perceptions can shift.
It's like there's this no man's land where these women end up feeling like they're too independent to be rescued, too exhausted to carry the emotional load of another person, and too wise to shrink themselves down just to get someone to like them.
And that last part is so key.
It is.
Because it challenges this misconception that strong women want to be alone.
Right.
The text says, contrary to popular belief, strong women don't want to do it all alone. They just learned how to because they had to.
They had to.
It's not a preference. It's a survival mechanism.
Yeah, it's like they've become so self-reliant out of necessity.
Exactly.
And it's not that they don't want connection. It's
Yeah.
just that they've learned to manage without it.
Because they've had to.
Because they've had to, yeah. And I think it's important to remember that, like, everyone, even the strongest among us, still has that basic human need for connection.
For companionship, for support.
For intimacy, yeah. And the text makes it really clear that it's not about wanting to be rescued or fixed. It's about wanting a partner who's, like, genuinely supportive and understanding.
Right, someone who sees them as an equal.
As an equal, yeah. And who respects their strength.
Absolutely. Not intimidated by it.
Not intimidated by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that leads us to the big question of, okay, so what's the path forward then?
Right. What does a healthy relationship look like for a strong woman?
Yeah. How do you find that meaningful connection without having to, like, dim your own light?
You shouldn't have to shrink yourself for love.
Absolutely. It's about finding someone who celebrates your strengths.
And who can handle them.
And who can handle them.
Who's secure enough in themselves to not feel threatened.
Right. So it sounds like it's really important to find someone who's emotionally mature.
Oh, absolutely. Emotional maturity is key.
And who shares your values.
Definitely. You need to be on the same page, fundamentally.
And who can redefine what intimacy means.
Yeah, it's not about one person completing the other.
Right.
It's about two whole individuals coming together and enhancing each other's lives.
Enhancing and supporting each other.
Yeah. And respecting each other's boundaries.
Boundaries are so important.
They really are. It's about creating a space where both people can thrive.
And where strength and vulnerability can coexist.
Absolutely. Because you can be strong and still need support sometimes.
Everyone needs support.
Even the strongest among us.
And I think that brings us back to the core of this whole paradox thing. It's not that strong women don't want love or connection.
Right. It's not about being afraid of intimacy.
It's just that they also have a deep need for independence and autonomy.
And they shouldn't have to sacrifice one for the other.
They shouldn't. And everyone deserves that feeling of being supported and cared for.
Absolutely.
Regardless of how strong or independent they are.
And I love that last line in the piece.
Yeah.
Where it talks about finding a partner who wants to be everything with them, not in spite of their strength, but because of it.
That's so powerful.
It is. It reframes the whole conversation.
It does.
It's not a burden to love a strong woman. It's a privilege.
So to wrap up this deep dive into the paradox of strong women and their desire for partnership, it's clear that societal expectations can create a real challenge.
A double bind, for sure.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that strong women have to compromise who they are to find love.
No way. They can have it all.
They can. So what do you think?
What's your takeaway from all of this?
Yeah, like after hearing all this, is there like one little shift in your own thinking or maybe in how you approach relationships? Or even just in how you view other people? That kind of resonates with you now.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. But I think it's important to consider especially in a world that often gets strength all wrong?
Totally.
Like, what does true partnership really mean to you?
It's a great question for everyone to ponder.
And thank you so much for sharing this piece with us.
Yeah, this was a great conversation.
It was, and for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
It's given us all a lot to think about, for sure. And to all of you listening out there, thanks for tuning in.
And keep those deep dives coming.
Yeah, we love exploring these topics with you.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See ya.